It's Throwback Thursday, where we pick an older video that you may or may not have seen, like from 10 years ago or so, and we're going to clean it up. We're going to shorten it. We're going to get right down to the point where the problem was and cut out all that crap and just show you what needs to be done on some of these older machines. This time it's a good old Sony VHS machine. This mechanism covered many models, so we're not even going to be model specific. This is quite a common problem. Let's check it out. This machine has a problem with rewind. It plays fine, but when you go into rewind, it has some problems. So I've already done the testing on this. I already fixed this machine years ago. We're going to show you what needs to be addressed on these, and it's not a blue gear. A lot of these Sonys had the blue gear. This is not a blue gear failure on this one. It's also not a seized up P6 guide, which was also a very common failure on these machines. Pinch roller is also in good shape. It's not seized up. That was another very common fault. So the common stuff, it's not. Let's see if it'll load a tape, which it does. It plays. What the heck? This machine appears to be working. And I was told it didn't work. But I hear something. Tick, 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 tick. You can hear it. Try search. Ah! Ha ha! There's our problem. When I put it into search, you notice that the tape did not reverse. So I'm sure if I try rewind, it probably won't rewind. And it doesn't. And it's going to probably eat the tape now, which it is. So, we have a clutching problem on this in the mechanism, which is great. I want to take one of these apart. I've wanted to take one of these apart for a while, and now I have a reason for taking this mechanism apart. Because we're going to fix that clutching mechanism. I thought I could hear something ticking, and it's going to be in this gearing system. How the machine operates is the main capstan motor through a belt operates this midway assembly, and it operates a gear. There's a series of gears and clutches that operates the take up in the supply spool. I forced the front loader to load without a tape so we can observe what happens when I go to eject the tape. You'll notice that the supply spool is not turning, and that's why it's eating. I have a feeling what's happening is this pendulum gear, which is right down in here, that moves back and forth when you go into reverse. See the pendulum gear there, right here, is sticking. I think that's probably what the problem is. And it doesn't go all the way over and engage in rewind. Let's take the mechanism apart. Now I can remove the front loading mechanism. The reason I have to do this is there's a cut washer I have to take off on the top to allow the mechanism to come apart. So we lift out the front loading mechanism. Now I can remove this plastic plate. And this cut washer. Are the pendulum gears. Now, of course, now I can take the rest of the mechanism apart. Take that gear out of the way. Now the clutch assembly, which I unscrewed from below, can be examined, and we can check it out and see if there's any broken gears on here and lubricate it while we're at it. So how the clutch assembly operates is that there's a cam on the main cam that operates these clutches and moves these up and down. And what quite often happens is the lubricant on the shaft dries out and the spring won't be allowed to push up the idler gear. But that's not the case here. I don't see any problem with this. There's good torque here. So I'm going to go ahead and just put this back in on the bottom. We have to pull the spring in place like that to drop it in place. So this little gear here that came out, that actually fits onto this little idler there. This is the one responsible for rewind when the pendulum gear flips over. So this is the one I'm kind of concentrating on because it wasn't going into rewind. Pendulum gear goes back on like that. How it operates, when the machine calls for torque, it transfers torque to this midway gear, which will go one way to drive the tape in the forward direction, and it'll go the other way to drive the tape in the rewind direction, and that's controlled by the cam, the main cam. So let's walk it through its paces here by hand. Okay, now that the mechanism is in the loaded position, if I operate the capstan shaft, you'll see that it will drive, it will drive the take-up spool. If I reverse the motor, the pendulum gear goes the other way and it drives the supply side. That's how it works. The cam gear controls this idler assembly, pushes it up out of the way to disengage the clutch, and there's actually a spring on the bottom of the bracket which pushes it down. So points of lubrication on this chassis is these shafts here. You can lubricate all these. We'll put a drop of oil on all of these points just to keep them in good running condition, because if they stick, you end up with a problem. So just a bit of oil on each one of these points, but just a drop. We'll put our cut washer back on. Actually, I guess this is not a cut washer, this is a full clip. Cut washer is a round washer with one little cut in it. This one's a full three-way clip, retainer. There's no cut in it at all. Place the retainer back over top, line it up with the holes, just snap it in place. It's held in place by two little clips, one on either side. Now we can replace the front loading mechanism and start to reassemble the machine. Take this off. I can now really mess things up by pulling out the cam gear. You know, now I can really screw things up. Oh wow, now my alignment is way off. Right, you can see how the cam gear here controls everything, and here's our tape guides. Right, I've really messed this up. Right, if I could take these gears off, it doesn't matter because it's easy to put them back. When you line them up, what you do is you line up. There's some little timing marks on here. If you look on here, there's an arrow right there, and it points at that hole. There's also other holes. There's a hole here, and it lines up with a hole in the chassis directly below it. You can't see it from the camera angle, but there is a hole there in the reset position. That hole lines up with the hole that's below there. When they're done at the factory, they're actually done with pegs, little pins that they put through, and it holds them in place. Machines put these machines together. But that hole lines up with a hole in the chassis. This one here lines up with another hole right here, in the chassis. The camera angle doesn't show it, but if you look straight down, this hole that looks offset on camera is actually directly below, as you can see, right? So when that hole lines up with that hole, and this hole lines up with the hole below it, as you can see, screwdriver right through the chassis, we are in correct time. We have to pull this lever back to pull, you see the tension arm? We pull that back and then bring the guides back. They are what hold that in place. As far as our main cam goes, it's the same. We have a series of gears on here that line up, and there's holes. And that's the position there when that's eject, when it moves back to eject the tape. That's the normal resting position there. You look through these holes here and you'll see where they go. Down here, you'll see the 3 tops of the pins that are lined up. So now we know we're correct. So once we've got it lined up, we bring back our loading gear and it will just drop right into place. Just like that. Now we can put this piece back on. Might help if we put it on the right way. Goes on like, I think it's like this. Yeah, goes on just like that. Our 3 cut washers on top. The drive gear, the tooth belt drive gear again. Hook the spring back around there. And replace the screw. Mechanism is now back together. Now we can put the circuit board back in place. Put the drum motor back in. And of course, it does. And unlike before, when I put it into reverse search, it's not going to eat my tape now because we fixed the problem.